4 years ago, my son's educators asked me to come in and told me that my son wasn't progressing like the other kids were.
Hi.
They called him a reluctant reader. They told me something was wrong, and I said, yes, it's you. I was born in Oslo, Norway. My family immigrated to Canada, and we ended up in Abbotsford, the town that was challenging to grow up in as a child of color and as somebody who was also of mixed ethnicities. English wasn't my first language, so as I'm learning English and as I'm going out into the community, I'm also hearing a lot of words. I don't understand why people are saying these things about me. It made me confused, and I started to hate all of my physical features. But I remember this librarian gave me this book, and it was Malcolm X's autobiography. You need to read this. This is going to explain what's happening to you. I was reading it and I was seeing myself. I was seeing this like mixed, lighter skinned person. And then I was learning about the history of enslavement. I was learning about the Ku Klux Klan. I was learning about racism and how what I was experiencing wasn't new.
Every case of police brutality against a Negro follows the same pattern. They attack you.
I saw my pain in his pain. I saw my anger in his anger. And the fact that his story had been published in a book, and I was in love with books. Books was my escape from all the pain. When I was pregnant with Rakim, I had the awareness that, a lot of people do when they're about to have a Black child, that you want the longest, most beautiful, most amazing life for them, but that there's a strong possibility that that may not happen because of things that are completely outside of your control. Rakim is Black. He comes from a mixed family dynamic. He's my son. He's also like his own human being. I'm really blessed to know him. He's incredible. He moves around the world with his joy. I learn a lot from him. Rakim is curious. He's playful, loves animals, really wants to travel to Madagascar and find a fossa. It's his favorite animal. He's, a young Black boy that discusses his future really bravely. And actually, I don't feel like it's not a coincidence that Rakim was born on Malcolm X's birthday. That energy just keeps showing up for me. What are you reading about right now that you really like, babes? Garfield. This is where you start to notice that the racism shows up in the testing of these children. The erasure of their history, the erasure of their stories. Literary testing in kindergarten or pre-kindergarten to grade 4 is done usually through a series of stories that a child will read to develop skills to relate them to the stories and be able to predict what happens next. So what happened with Rakim is that he was being tested with a set of stories that didn't reflect his lived experience at all. I decided, I think it's time that we had a collective conversation. I asked that the resource team bring the bin of books that they used to test the children with them so that we could all look and see what it was that Rakim was refusing to read. And then maybe go to the next question was, why? So we were all observing that the stories that Rakim was reading was definitely not represented in his family structure. So of course, it would be understandable how it would challenge his comprehension of the stories. And I said, Black History Month is coming up. So I think it would be really great. He's got some books that he would like to share with his group. The librarian, the head resource teacher, she said, we have enough Indigenous crap in this library already. I'm not going to include more Black stuff to show up for the 5 Black kids that go to this school. She was like, Aisha, we're in a white part of town, and this is a white school, and you just have to deal with that. That's what we're doing. I'm not going to change it. And the whole time this is happening, there's the other librarian sitting there silent, like listening, like within earshot. So I'm hot at both of them. The one who's yelling and the one who's sitting there affirming her stance or holding on to her job or whatever she's doing by not saying anything. I knew that this could go a couple different ways. The power that I had in that moment, power that I had that no one can take away, is the power to choose what I'm going to do in response to what just happened. The story that happened there has happened for so many generations. And so I thought, you know what? This is actually the perfect time to challenge this protocol of banning books or refusing access with this whole collection of stories that I had been building from teachers asking me, you know, Aisha, what can we offer in our classes to be able to represent Rakim? So I had been building this collection of books, and I was like, this is actually like the perfect time to launch this. And, you know, that was I Dream Library. I Dream Library is my vision of the future of education, what education looks like 50 years from now. I Dream Library exists online as an installation. It is a space that's completely accessible, so it's not restricted by memberships. Anybody with internet access in anywhere around the world can get a hold of book lists that are centered on Black, Indigenous, and people of color stories, queer stories, two-spirit stories about being gender fluid, being trans, non-binary, like all the different ways that we can express that we know and that are yet to come. We design anti-oppression and anti-racist curriculum. We offer actual frameworks that we design to be able to select stories that are equitable, broadly understanding how reconciliation, allyship, diversity, and anti-racism shows up in different ways in the stories that you choose. I started to design them with Rakim. So he's one of the curators of our book list.
Rakim, look at this painting.
Since we started in February 2019, which is when we first launched, we've come a long way. And it's been a lot to get here, but we've had incredible support from community. One of the spaces that was unexpected, and I didn't intend to end up here, but I am overwhelmed and so excited to be here, is in the Vancouver Art Gallery. We were invited to pitch Yoko Ono and her studio on including a learning space within her exhibit, Growing Freedom. Rakim and I put together a book list and we shared it, and this would be the content of what would become the Young Activists Reading Room. And yeah, Yoko and her studio said yes. It's picture books all the way up to middle grade that touch on all the different ways that we take small moments and experiences and make choices that lead to really, really big impacts. And I'm over the moon, on the floor. I don't know how many different ways I can say this, that Yoko Ono said, yes, I love you forever for that if you're watching. I'm really inspired and grateful for this opportunity for the community to come and share in a little piece of our vision and what we do. And we hope that you're inspired by it too.